Hey, welcome to the Gratu Orlov Show. It's episode 349, April the 12th, 2021. We're going to be looking at some more records today. And when we were last looking at records back in episode 347, I'd just gotten into some Batman records, and then the memory of the phone died at 3 hours. So let's see what we can look at here today. Today we're brought to you by Bubble Up. It's pure pleasure. We're also brought to you by Fang, the breakfast drink for vampires. Try Fang today. Wheaties, the breakfast of champions. And new for 1963, the new Aurora model kit, the Mummy. So make sure you rush out to your hobby store and pick up your Mummy model kit today. Well, let's get back to what we were doing. Oh, this is a great record here. Billy Muir's Supersonic Guitars in Hi-Fi. Yeah, Billy Muir's Supersonic Guitars, and this is where it all started for me. It wasn't this album. No, there's a song called Tiger Guitars. Look it up on YouTube. It's done by Billy Muir, Supersonic Guitars. But look up that song. I play it a lot on this station. And that is, I'll show you something. I showed you this record last time. This is a record from my childhood, and the Aquaman theme is Tiger Guitars by Billy Muir Supersonic Guitars. And the Green Lantern theme on this is really good too, and I managed to trace who that was. It was a British guy that did library music, I think. What was his name? He did one song called Spanish Armada. Maybe if you look up Spanish Armada, you find the name of the guy. But anyway, they had that song that they used as the Green Lantern theme on YouTube, and then it was taken down. But anyway, that's where I first heard. That's kind of where I first heard surf guitar music, is from that Aquaman record when I was like 5 years old. My mother bought that for me, so that's certainly cool. What do we got here? Hootenanny at the Limelight. Boy, that light's annoying. I gotta reposition that light again. Whatever. Alright. Okay, so Batman. I'm not sure when the camera cut out. It was I looked at a couple of Batman records. So we'll start over with the Batman records just in case. So this can be a more self-contained episode. All right, guys. My gosh. I'm positioning the see, on top of this Zoltan machine is where I'm putting the camera, the phone. Stay still. You son of a motherfucker. Son of a mouth breathing. You mother father, you. Alright. Alright, well, what do we have here? Music for Batman and Robin. And there's a special liner notes from Commissioner Gordon on the back. I'm going to reposition that light. I've got to. Come with me. It's a lot of fun repositioning these stupid ring lights. Alright, let's move this light over here. I don't like this light, but it's my only thing I got to work with right now. This light. Look at this cool box for this cassette tape recorder. Well, old friend of mine called me this morning, and he was out walking by the lake in Dallas and told me later today he's going to get his second Moderna thing that, you know, that goes into the arms of Americans, into the arms of Americans, and arms. They love to say that. So he's looking forward to see if he has any S effects. So, yeah. So, my pal over in Dallas. And he said he just recently discovered on YouTube some old public access shows from the 90s. It's a show, he says, called Raw Time. And it's... he says they got this really cute goth girl that every phone call she takes on this public access show, I think out of Austin, is someone saying something horrible to her, and she just brushes it all off with very quick-witted sarcasm. So, and I guess it's a music video show, and this goth girl hosts it, and he says he's been watching that a lot. So, I guess I'll have to check it out to see. He's so into, he's impressed any time he sees women with extremely pale skin. He used to put out a magazine in the 90s called Heliophobe, about extremely pale, like albino women, and it was just like he's into extremely pale women, H.P. Lovecraft and Philip K. Dick, and collecting old antique books and book binding. He actually binds books. So he's a very eccentric old friend of mine. I met him through the Sophisticate magazine. I said the Sophisticate was going to put a video version of the Sophisticate out, and I was going to sell it for like $15. That was the magazine I put out in the 90s. He contacted me and said that he'd like to order that. And that was before the Hypnotic Eye that I worked on with Joe Riley. Anyway, you don't want to hear about him. You want to look at Batman records. This one is from Tifton Records. It's the Sensational Guitars of Dan and Dale. I'm pretty sure I showed you this one last time. Damn, that light. Suitable for framing. Where was I think? Oh, here's Al Hirt. The Horn meets the Hornet. So he does the Green Hornet theme on this, and of course Van Williams there was a local guy. He was from Fort Worth. Passed away a few years ago. Before the Green Hornet, I think he was on Hawaiian Eye, if I'm not mistaken. Here's Jan and Dean meet Batman. Everybody did Batman records. It was, like I said last time, it was a cottage industry. There were so many of these Batman records made. You could fill crate after crate with Batman records. And one time I tried to make a mixed tape with just one Batman theme after another done by different people, and I wound up filling a whole CD, and actually I think I sold a few out through the mail. And then I wound up one time, Howie Pyro on his show Intoxica, he was playing all these Batman themes that he put up as a thumbnail, the cover of the CD that my friend and I had designed. I took the Vargas did a painting for Playboy magazine in 1966 where he had a Vargas girl, in a Batman suit, and that was before they created Batgirl for the show. Batgirl was really created for the TV show and then put into the comic, kind of like Harley Quinn was created for the animated series and then put into the comic. So, anyway, so I used that Batgirl, Batwoman image as on the CD cover. I'll have to show that to you sometime. But this is a pretty weird record, Batman TV theme. This cover is so wild looking. It's got this Batman art around the margins, see? But inside, it's just like all these weird forest animals watching Batman on television. Here's a bigger version of it on the back. Look at this. Look at that crazy fox watching Batman, and a giraffe is leaning down to watch Batman. And then the Who did a version of the Batman theme. We got it on this Who Rarities Volume 1 record. And here's another one, the Batman theme. As on the ABC TV television series Batman, and pow, wham, holy smoke, blam, the Batman theme, Mighty Mayhem, Cheatin' Charlie, Uppercut Blues, Fight, Flight, Arg, Bap, Ugh, Zowie. The Villain Strikes, Out with the In Crowd, Behind the 8 Ball, Mars Visitor, It's Murder, featuring the sensational Bat Boys. So, and on the back, somebody looks like they've practicing being famous, writing their name, Tony Barnett, over and over again. Unless Tony Barnett was one of the fabulous, sensational Bat Boys, maybe this is an autographed copy. Kind of doubt it. Here's another copy of that Ventures record with the Batman theme. I showed you this yesterday, but it was over in that box, so I apparently have 2 copies. And here's a very generic looking record from Modern Sound Records, and it has all of these songs, including the Batman theme. Modern Sound. Okay. I was showing you Firesign Theater records yesterday. This is the one that has the Porgy Tire Biter, High School Madness. Yeah, I showed you these. I think we're all bozos on this bus. They were LA DJs that got together and created a comedy group that's kind of like if Harvey Kurtzman, Will Elder, all the original Mad EC comic book staff got together and maybe smoked a little. It would probably wind up being the Firesign Theater. Now this where's my magnifying glass? This is this is one of their best records. Sorry, I was having a debate in my mind. This is about space aliens, and it's really good. Everything You Know Is Wrong. This one's like a Shakespeare, not Shakespeare, a Sherlock Holmes kind of deal. There's another one, it's called The Tale of the Giant Rat of Sumatra. They had another one that was Shakespeare. Fighting Clowns. This is one of their later period ones. I'm not seeing what's their really best record is called. What is it? It has them in front of. They've got Lennon and Marx back behind them, but it's John Lennon and it's Groucho Marx, and that one has the Nick Danger parody of an old-time radio show. They did a sequel. This album's a sequel to that, but it's not as good as the original. And that one is called. Let's see, I'd be able to tell you, except I've got the camera rolling, and then I mean, this is the one I said was Shakespeare's Lost Comedy. But this is how I discovered Stan Freberg, the best of Stan Freberg. This is great, and this is really like the old Mad. So much so that Stan Freberg did the foreword to one of those early Mad books, like the Mad Reader, Mad Strikes Back, or Strikes Out, the Inside Mad, one of those. This is a really good musical about the history of the United States of America, and he has Billy May as his doing the music, and Billy May, of course, did the soundtrack music in the third season of Batman. But I'm just thinking, where are the other Batman records? I've got a lot more Batman records than that. And where are my Power records, all the 1970s superhero records? I gotta get more organized here. Here's the best of the Stan Freberg shows. He had a radio show in the 50s, kind of at the tail end, because he hated television. He always did parodies of television. And he was doing a radio show and he thought it would be better if people just stuck to radio. He didn't like television. Here's the Monty Python record, Live at Drury Lane. This is great. The Credibility Gap. Yeah, listen to them on YouTube. Humor you could never do today. But see, Harry Shearer went on to The Simpsons. You know him from This Is Spinal Tap. But David Lander here and Michael McKean were Lenny and Squiggy later on, and of course he was on Better Call Saul as the older brother, and Richard Beebe. I can't tell you much about them, but this is brilliant stuff. Here's a record by the Harvard Lampoon. Demonstration Not for Sale. Featuring parodies of Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones, Richie Havens, Wilson Pickett, Dionne Warwick, The Lovin' Spoonful, God, and many others. And this is the Harvard Lampoon is a magazine that is put out at Harvard. It's a parody magazine. This was done in 1968. Now, some of these people, Christopher Surf, and left, graduated, and they formed the National Lampoon, which was a national version of this magazine. This, and then National Lampoon had records too, which I'm sure are coming up. This is a record. When I was in junior high, there was a show on Sunday nights syndicated called the King Biscuit Flower Hour, and usually they ran concerts of Ted Nugent or Van Halen or whatever, Led Zeppelin. But one time they did a 2-hour salute to the National Lampoon Radio Hour, which this was about 1979, 1980. The National Lampoon Radio Hour had been syndicated on radio about 74, and it had John Belushi and Christopher Guest, Bill Murray, Brian Doyle Murray, Gilda Radner, Chevy Chase, a lot of the cast of the original Saturday Night Live, and the writers like Michael O'Donoghue, that later went on to Saturday Night Live, were on that radio show, and it was brilliant. And but it was before my time, you know, and so they ran a couple hours, and I remember the Towering Inferno was being run on television, and then it ended, and then I turned on the radio, and they're playing this great stuff. I got my little tape recorder and recorded the last hour, or something like that. But there was stuff I missed, and then there was a friend at school that had recorded another part of it, like another hour that I didn't get. It may have been a 3-hour thing, I don't remember. So I managed to get him to copy that for me, and so I had more of it. Years later, I was at RPM Records in Dallas, and I found this, and this is what probably was playing on the radio, this actual record. Because, you know, they would send it to the radio stations on record and play it, and it has the original commercials and everything in it. So, and since it's Dallas, you know, and I was living in Arlington, I imagine this is the very record that was playing and that I was desperately trying to get a recording of for my friend back then, and I managed to get it many years later, and now I have the whole thing. And it's, it aired February 17th, 1980, the National Lampoon 10th Anniversary Special. Yeah, man. So I've got it. Okay, so we've got stuff out of order, because here's the Monty Python Contractual Obligation album. So I gotta put that back with the Monty Python live record. I can't tell you how much the National Lampoon Radio Hour meant to me, and how great I thought it was. There we go. What is this? Oh, this is cool. This is Pacific Drive-In Theaters from August 30th, 1960. KRKD, the album station in LA. It's pre-show and intermission. I forgot I owned this. I should put this up on YouTube, record it. Ray Hurst Exciting Colorway. It's a way to learn to play guitar. So it's got all these, you know, the back is cut cool looking. It's from Pam's in Dallas. Pam's is the company that made all the jingles, a lot of the jingles for Top 40 radio in the 60s. And they still do it today. They're still recording jingles. Here's the National Lampoon record Lemmings, and it has Chevy Chase and John Belushi doing his Joe Cocker impression and everything. It's you can actually see someone recorded this stage play. This is a stage play, and they actually have the recording up on YouTube. It's cool. But yeah, it's premises. It's a rock festival where they're all going to like commit to kill themselves, you know. This is National Lampoon Radio Dinner. This is pretty much the same people that did the radio show. Tony Hendra and Michael O'Donoghue's Radio Dinner featuring Christopher Guest. They have Melissa Manchester before she became a big star on here. Mainly Christopher Guest is like the star of this one. And of course Michael O'Donoghue, you remember him as Mr. Mike on Saturday Night Live. And then this is the National Lampoon Goodbye Pop record, and it's made like the magazine. Rock, hype, heavy metal, C&W, bubblegum, groupies, dope and roll, and it's really good too. Then they had Missing White House tapes. This is what I already had when they aired that couple hour special National Lampoon Radio Hour. They had already put out this record, and I had it, and I knew that it was a great thing. This has the greatest hits from what they think are from the Radio Hour. This is the cast of the radio show. See, there's Bill Murray. Yeah, there's Gilda Radner, John Belushi. I mean, it's basically Saturday Night Live was just, well, let's do a show. Let's just take all the cast and the writers from something that already existed instead of doing something creative on my own. I'll just, and then when they all left or went on to heaven or to making movies, well, gosh, there's no more National Lampoon people to hire. And so they just hired a bunch of horrible comedians, and that's why Saturday Night Live hasn't been funny in 30 years or more. The official National Lampoon stereo test and demonstration record. And this has John Belushi, Chevy Chase on it. This is the National Lampoon Radio Hour cast, but completely uninhibited, doing completely more obscene things that they never could have aired on television. This reminds me of the time we were eating at a restaurant here in town, and I saw a little lobster escaping from the kitchen, and it was like, oh. I was wanting to root him on. I didn't want him to get caught. I wanted him to escape. But of course, if he'd escaped, he would have just died. And if he had somehow gotten out the door, scooted out the door, there was no water out there. Oh well. This was not a very good record. This is done after National Lampoon had changed, and it's not the original cast, and they have a couple of clips from the old Radio Hour, but it's the new people. It's like the new Saturday Night Live. It was not as funny. Same thing with this record. See, it wasn't as funny as the old stuff. It wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't good. Here's dramatic highlights of congressional investigations. Senator John F. Kennedy, Senator Joseph McCarthy, Frank Costello, Estes Kefauver. That's the Kefauver went up, had the committee looking into comic books and whether they cause juvenile delinquency. So I don't think they have anything about the comic book industry on here now, but I got some of the weirdest records. The Jimmy Heap Show featuring Ken Idaho. It's a party album. That means it's a dirty record, right? And it's put out by Sex to Sexty magazine. Now, Sex to Sexty magazine was a magazine printed here locally. I could walk in, give me 20 minutes, I could walk to the original building, and apparently in there they still have a lot of the artwork framed. Bill Ward, a lot of the old illustrations, from, if you ever see that magazine, it was printed in Arlington, Texas. This is my parents' record, The First Family. Now this comedian Vaughn Mader did an impression of John F. Kennedy, so this record was a parody of the White House and about Jackie Kennedy redecorating the White House and its little comedy skits. This record sold millions of copies. Everyone had a copy of it. And then when John F. Kennedy was killed, everybody was embarrassed they owned it, and it kind of went into the back of everyone's record collection, but it was still there, and you still see these all over the place at estate sales, but it was real popular. And then, of course, his career took a nosedive because he was the guy that did the impression of John F. Kennedy, and then no one wanted to hire him after Kennedy was killed. So that's the story on that record. Al Capp on campus. Now, Al Capp was a real liberal, originally in his comic strip Little Abner, and but he was really disgusted by the hippie movement. Like great illustrations. So he kind of started putting anti-hippie stuff in his comic strip, and hippie type people didn't like that. So in fact, there's a clip you can see where he goes in. A lot of celebrities went into debate. John Lennon and Yoko Ono, when I think they were just sitting in bed in protest, or I get mixed up because in the Ruddles they were in a bathtub, I think, and I think they were in bed. It was like their version of Cesar Chavez starving himself, but they're just laying in bed, which is what a lot of people do anyway, so it's not really a protest. But celebrities would come in and say, I support what you're doing, or what is this you're doing? And Al Capp went in and really debated him. He really thought John Lennon was being a horse's ass doing that. Here's from about 1966, definitely 66, because they do a Batman parody. It's called Flackman and Reagan, about Reagan running for governor of California. But it's really cool because it really sounds like the Batman show, because they've got Billy May doing the music, and it's like his whole deal. I'm going to start my own radio show in the 60s after radio has died, and it'll be called Pay Radio. You pay, each album will be another episode of the radio show, but he never did anything but this first one, and it was really a cool deal. Let me put this with the other Stan Freberg stuff. Here's Jonathan Winters' Mad, 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 Mad World. Oh, look at this great Jack Davis illustration. Here's another Jonathan Winters record. What else can we find here? Oh, this is a cool record. It's like a religious band. I mean, it's not gospel music, but it's really the lively ones. This is just like a record you get to frame on the wall because it's so silly looking. It's not like actual good music, but I haven't heard it in a long time. It might be good because it's bad, but mainly it's just this damn paint photograph and that great logo. Okay, this is a bunch of soundtrack records here. Bridge Too Far. I guess I should show you these. And some of them are pretty common. Here's the Alien soundtrack. You see, the soundtrack album is a lot cooler looking than looking at a jewel box, This is Nino Rota's music for, in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the music was made to sound like Fellini music. So if you like the music in that, That's that Oingo Boingo guy that does all the music, the Batman theme and all that. Maybe you'd like that. Well, this record changed my life. The soundtrack to American Graffiti. My brother, my middle brother, he bought this record, right? And he said he didn't have a record player though, but he liked the music, so he said, "Here, play this record and see if it plays all the way through." Because back then in the 70s, records weren't being made to the same quality that they've been made traditionally, and a lot of times you buy a record and there'd already be skipping it before you ever played it the first time. So he wanted me to listen to it, and of course I fell in love with the music, and I don't think I ever gave him the record back. This is from a Mondo movie. So that's how I discovered that, the music of the 50s and 60s was so great. Oh, this record I inherited from my parents, but the music from Airport, the theme to Airport is fantastic. In fact, I think they used it in, what did they use it in? I always would listen to this and dream about a Fantastic Four movie, and the Airport theme was the theme song to that. I mean, it just seemed like it went so well with the majesty of Jack Kirby's machinery and Galactus, the theme to Airport that plays over the opening credits. And then this is the one that's more commonly available. This, you see it in this form. I got several copies here because I love it so much. But this one I think may be a German or, yeah, this is a German printing. Yeah. So it looks better, I think. That's the one that I grew up listening to over and over again on my childhood phonograph, probably ruining the record. Let's see what else we've got here. Well, here's one I bought when I was in 4th grade, Airport 1975. And I like the music in this. It's not as good as the first Airport, but this was one of the disaster movies that came out. They were in 1974. They came out in 74, even though it's called Airport 75. There was it started with the Poseidon Adventure, and then there was the Towering Inferno and Airport 75 and Earthquake. And this was I don't know, 77, 78 Americathon. I think some of the Firesign Theater guys wrote this, or one of them did, and it's about a telethon to raise money for the United States because it's being foreclosed on, and it's crazy. It's not really a good movie, but I love the Beach Boys song that opened it. At the beginning, there's no more gas, so everyone lives in cars, and they have cars stacked up to be a double, 2-story house, and then they show Los Angeles, and on the highways, everyone's riding bikes and other weird inventions because no one has cars anymore. So that's the whole premise behind that deal. This is a British printing of the soundtrack to Around the World in 80 Days. This came from my dad and my parents as well. Soundtrack to Atomic Cafe, so it has a lot of music about the Cold War and nuclear bombs and stuff. Okay. So, it's over here. Here's David Rose, Music of the Stripper. Let me put these records in here. Lady Sunbeam, Serenade, Collector's Album of Love Songs. This must, I don't know what Lady Sunbeam, I think it's some kind, maybe it's a hair dryer or something. It must be a giveaway record if you Get that. Sounds for a Secret Agent. There's also a cottage industry of people doing James Bond records. And like I said, Batman, because in the 60s, everything was about the Beatles, Bond, and Batman. So yeah, there's a lot of fake Beatles records too that are hilarious, where they spell the name a little bit different, or they have not the Beatles, or the Mosquito. You know, there's another El Hurt record. Yeah. They would have these fake Beatles records because kids would say, I want a Beatles record for Christmas, and then Grandma would go out and buy what she thinks is a Beatles record, but it isn't, because she got fooled. The Kmart by me that I went a few days ago, that's now a Kroger, it used to be filled with fake Beatle records. Building on the Rock. Songs and stories by Jim and Tammy and their friends. Remember Jim and Tammy Baker from the big scandals many years ago? Here's the soundtrack to Night of Living Dead, which is actually just library music, because there was no soundtrack to Night of Living Dead. They used library music, so that's why you'll hear a lot of the music you've heard in Night of Living Dead is also in movies in the 50s stuff. What else do we have? Burnin' Beat, Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa. There's a great tape. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but I've got it on an audio cassette where Buddy Rich is yelling at his band, and he doesn't like that some of them have long hair, and just Motorcycles USA by the Hornets. Hey, my friends are going, they may be there right now looking at that movie theater in Alabama. I'm looking forward to, this is still sealed. Well, it's been opened, but it's still got a shrink wrap on it. So maybe I'll have some footage of that in pictures that I can show you later today or tomorrow. What else I have here? Oh, here's the Goldfinger soundtrack. Oh, look at this. Johnny Cash, the greatest. It's on the Sun label. Joe Mays and his Chordsmen, Hawaiian Dreams. Ooh, this is from my old high school. The Spirit of Christmas at Arlington High School. From what year? I'd say it's got to be the 50s. Sounds Unlimited, Marty Gold and his orchestra. Oh, what is this? Oh, Gemini Man was some TV show that everyone's forgotten about, including me. But it's from Power Records that put out all the 70s superhero Star Trek Planet of the Apes records that were horribly acted, but they sure do give nostalgic chills to people my age. Here's music from Mr. Lucky. Well, I probably need to go down and make sure that my recording has not stopped downstairs. England's newest hitmakers, the Rolling Stones. What else do we have here? Oh, The Kingsmen, Volume 3. What is going on here? Why is it not working? Something stuffed in this. Oh, it was the... I bought the set in a estate sale. The sleeve was just wadded up in there. I was hoping it was going to be money. Yeah. Oh, when I got this one, it didn't even have the record in it. Or did it? No, it's the wrong record. It's actually cool. It's Paul Revere and the Raiders, The Spirit of '67. But this was at an estate sale, and I had to get it because this is one of those fake Beatle records I was telling you about. The new sound from England, Beatle-Rama. See, a grandmother would see that. Oh, the Beatles, they have the long hair. It's just Beatle, you know, so. But it's with the Manchesters. And so a lot of kids would get these records for their birthday or Christmas. Yeah, see, it's like a gift. Marie and something with love, you know. They write on this like, here's this fake Beatle record, all for you. David Rose. This is the original one, and then that other one I showed you was the sequel. So I got to put it in the right order. Where was that? There we go. Daydream, The Lovin' Spoonful. Glad All Over, Dave Clark 5. This belonged to Judy and Kelly Davis, I'll have you know. The Dave Clark 5 were huge. Here's another Puff the Magic Dragon. Man, they make some of these children's records, they make them real thick so they will not be destroyed immediately by children. Here's Conan the Barbarian. Billy Jack. You know, I don't think I've ever seen Billy Jack, believe it or not. They used to make us sing One Tin Soldier every day when I was in 5th grade in music class. We had an old, this young hippie teacher. And years later, I would realize, oh, that song is by this band Coven that's, got like Human Sacrifice, Gatefold on there. They're like this real. They were the band that invented the double horn thing that every heavy metal band kind of adopted. They were like a witchcraft band. That song sounds very, Christian and everything. It was actually a cover version. That's probably why. I gotta go downstairs and make sure my recording has not been stopped. Hey, I've been getting this weird thing on YouTube because, like that last video I did, I pressed like on my own video, and then my wife also on her account liked it. So there were 2 likes, and then I go back later and it has 1 like, and then there was another video, my first one where I'm going through the records, I had 6 likes, and then I went back later and it had 2 likes. So somehow my likes are disappearing. So just as an experiment, I'm not trying to get likes from you guys. If you don't really like the video, don't do it. But it would be cool if everybody that, if you've gotten through to this point, 50 minutes into the video, if you press like, and then if I see that the likes are the same number as the people that have viewed it, because I know they're weird. Here's what's recording, and it has not stopped. I know that there's weird shenanigans. I mean, not probably in some one that has 224 subscribers, but people that have thousands and thousands of subscribers, supposedly once a month, YouTube goes in and they purge subscribers, and so all of a sudden you'll be missing 600 subscribers, and they claim that they're getting rid of old accounts that haven't been touched in years or something, or I don't know what it is. I think it's so because if you have more subscribers, they have to pay you more, and they're probably trying to. I don't know what's going on. I probably shouldn't even be talking about it, but anyway, I just noticed in the last 2 videos my likes seem to shrink. Weird. Okay, Quincy Jones plays Hip Hits. All right, so this should be good for another hour. At 3, I've got to take my dog Drew to the vet because it's 2 weeks since we got her. We took her, and she's got to be checked up. And but I'll be done with this video by then. Yeah, my friends are probably there looking at that theater right now. I'm hoping that it's something that can be done, but I kind of have in the back of my mind that that's just gonna be undoable and a horrible thing to put my wife through. All right, back to records. All right, we're really getting funky here in approaching the 2nd hour of today's episode. Well, from the 80s, here's the soundtrack to Blood Feast and 2000 Maniacs. Yeah. Everyone's favorite films. I heard about Blood Feast for the first time in the Monster Times. Here's the Blues Brothers soundtrack. Here's a very unusual Goldfinger soundtrack. It's like it's leather. If I can get the light just right on it, you see that it's the cover is like it's printed on cowhide or something. Something like that. There's the Addams Family soundtrack. Wonderful music. Pure loveliness. Carolyn Jones. Hold on a moment. This came from my parents' collection, my father's collection. Yeah, they as did these records. This is the kind of stuff, you know, that was never really that, you know, buying records in the 50s and early 60s. The other records that were in the store were probably the Bass Exchanges. I'm sure is where my dad was buying the records. There at the PX. You think, what if he had just bought some of those other records? But he chose to get those. Oh, here, I'm going to show you this. Cool Hand Luke. I don't think I showed it to you. Here's the Adventures of Robin Hood. I was going to show that to my wife the other day, but instead we wound up watching Funny Girl from 1968, the story of Fanny Bryce. My wife really enjoyed that. I thought she would enjoy it because she was wanting to watch movies about the Ziegfeld Follies, and I said, well, here's a movie where they actually have someone play Ziegfeld. Here's a bachelor party Tom Hanks, you know, he's supposed to be the great new Jimmy Stewart, but turns out he's kind of a creepy guy, man. You ever see his Instagram? He likes to take pictures of gloves that people drop on the ground and get close-ups of them. He's got this weird fetish just taking pictures of children's clothing laying on the ground in a desert. And it's like, who puts that up on Instagram exactly? Are you all right there, Mr. Hanks? I don't know. I'm sure he's a wonderful human being, Tom Hanks. Here's the Battlestar Galactica soundtrack. But this is the one that, this is the disco version of the Battlestar Galactica theme. Now, if they had dressed like that on the show, maybe it would have gone to a little bit longer. Yeah, that's just me thinking. Why, it's the soundtrack to Beneath the Planet of the Apes. The soundtrack to Thunderball. You know, the original theme was Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, I think, sung by Dionne Warwick. And they must have decided, no, we want a theme song that actually has the title of the movie in the song. A song with the word Thunderball in the title. So they got Tom, but they'd already cut together the opening credit sequence to time with the song Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. So they got Tom Jones in, and he did Thunderball, but on the DVD or Blu-ray, they've got 2 tracks, and you can listen to it with Dionne Warwick's Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, or the released Thunderball by Tom Jones playing over the same, what's the name of the guy that edited the Maurice Binder, I think, that did the opening credits for the James Bond movies that cut them together. So they had to create a song that's paced exactly to the edits that were already done. It's really interesting. And I think the other song would have worked. It's just, you know, they wanted something on the radio that every time people hear it, they hear Thunderball. And anyway. But of course, as I said, James Bond, there was a cottage industry of fake records. Thunderball, Man from U.N.C.L.E., and this is, who did this? Sometimes it's even hard to find out who the artist is because it's just a bunch of studio musicians. But you know, sometimes the studio musicians were incredible, especially in LA. This is Ray Martin and his orchestra. The Wrecking Crew. What is the guy? He's a guitar player. I can't remember. I think his name is Tommy Tedesco. I think that there's a movie. It's free on YouTube called The Wrecking Crew, and I think it was made by the son of Tommy Tedesco. Tommy Tedesco. You see, almost every record you ever heard in the '60s they have this great sound, and a lot of times it's not even the real band playing. It's this group of studio musicians in LA that played on just about everybody's records, Beach Boys, but they did all these TV themes. Everything that I love turns out it's the record, and this one guitar player is everything I love, from the Munsters theme to the Bonanza theme. The song Sugar Shack by Jerry Gilmer and the Fireballs. You know, it's always this one guy. You mentioned the voice of Piglet. Maybe it was another guy at another time. Maybe I'm mixed up on that. Graphic Man, I think, is correcting me. I just saw a little comment scroll across the top of my screen. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Piglet was not the mortician from Kolchak the Night Stalker. I don't know. Mixed up. College Confidential. Dean Elliott was real good. This is a soundtrack from a exploitation movie. Here's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Oh, what's that? Gatefold. I'm probably wrong on a lot of stuff I say, but if I say it with enough authority, then maybe people will believe it. Ugh. Okay. What now? Oh, okay. Oh boy. What do we have here? Well, it's the soundtrack to Creepshow. The original hit, Quentin's theme from the TV show Dark Shadows, the Charles Randolph Green sound, and it's got the original Kmart sticker. Kmart. Manufacturer's list, $4.88. Our price, $3.43. Day of the Dead. You know, Radiola, the company that did all those old radio shows, they even did some weird things like this. Ooh, this was a really good movie. I don't think many people have seen it, though. This John Dillinger movie with Warren Oates. Really worth seeing. He really does look like Dillinger. Here's the soundtrack to the movie my wife and I watched the other night, Diner. Didn't I already just show you this Night of Living Dead record? Or is this, do I have two copies? I don't know what's going on. Okay, this has still got the price tag in it and this post-it note on it from the price from Doc's Records, I guess. So I'm going to take this off. I guess I paid $8.99 for this from back in 2015. This is the soundtrack to The Electric Company. It's got cool artwork here. It's got a little thing you can turn here to help you learn words, I guess. It's got Bill Cosby, Morgan Freeman, Skip Pennant, Rita Moreno, and the Short Circus. Original cast album, full color book, and a real working Fargo, North Dakota crypto spectrometer, all for you. Here's the soundtrack to Fritz the Cat. R. Crumb hated the movie, didn't really want it to be made. He said that Ralph Bakshi approached him and it was so desperate and fast talking, he felt sorry for the guy and he just said, yeah, go ahead and do it. And he didn't like the movie. And then after the movie came out, he had Fritz the cat killed so he could never be used again. In the comic book, Fritz the cat was killed, I think, by a jealous girlfriend with an ice pick to the back of his neck or something. And so he killed off the character. Yeah, there's a deluxe edition Godzilla. Japanese. Let's see what's down here. Oh. Slow Walk Rock, an album for hip dancers. Syl Austin and his orchestra. And this belonged to Herbert R. Sibley from 850 Control Drive in Beaumont, Texas. So that's an address I need to look up on Google Earth to see the house where this record used to reside, because that's just how bored I am. If you haven't figured it out from these 3-hour-long videos, here's Beach Boys. Free promotional album not to be sold. The #1 surfing group in the country, the Beach Boys, Surfing USA. And there are those young guys. Can you believe that? How young they were. That's so amazing. Here's Bill Black and his combo. This is a great album cover. Everything about this record feels seedy. Just the touch of the paper on the back cover, it just feels gritty. It's just like this has been in some beatnik's pad. David Rose and his orchestra in Hi-Fi Fiddles. I just had some David Rose records. Let me put this with those. Where were they? There we go. Here's another, here's another stripper record, Cy Zentner. I got 2 copies of it. How about that? So if I get that movie theater, maybe we can have some burlesque up on the stage, and I'll already have the records ready to go. See, I think ahead. Other Worlds, Other Sounds, Esquivel and his orchestra. Oh, it looks like my wife just sent a text, something about the realtor didn't have the key. So maybe that's, I have to go ask her what's going on. Yeah, these Stereo Action records are amazing. Look how you slide, no access to roof. I probably should go down and talk with her, because apparently she's hearing about the theater. Look how it goes in like this. Look at that. Stereo Action records are amazing. I need to ring off and find out what's going on with that theater. But I'll be back with another installment of the records, and we'll start with the next record we're going to look at is Go 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 World. So I'll be back with you later today or tomorrow. Anyway, be seeing you.